aspirants, welcome to the thorough newspaper analysis. So let's see that what do we have for today. So we have two articles that are the editorials that we'll be discussing. Both of them are from the Indian Express newspaper. The first one is titled as Justice for the Silenced. So this article talks about the recent and basically not so recent, but the road rash case wherein some farmers were actually killed in an accident, but still, the Supreme Court actually had to now take the cognizance, and only then legal actions have been taken, just because it involves in some important eminent legal personalities, as in some ministers. So what actually is the law for these people? Is it different as for the other people? Will be discussed over here. Now the second one here is again from the Indian Express, which has been titled as PIL targets cabinet status for Goa's Rane. So this is basically about the recent PIL, that is public interest litigation, that has been filed in order to put down the idea of giving the cabinet status to a person. Now, who is he? What is the matter? We'll be discussing it in the entire discussion. Next we have is the news update segment, wherein we'll be talking about the important news points that are very crucial for a prelims exam. And fourthly, we'll be talking about the legal news, wherein we'll be covering the important case laws for the day. Let's see what is the first article. So it talks about the justice for the silenced. So recently the Supreme Court ordered the cancelling of bail of Ashish Mishra and his surrender before the court of law. So the Supreme Court also made known its disquiet over the manner in which the Lucknow bench of the Allahabad High Court did not take into account the unbridled right of the victim to participate in the proceedings. Let's now understand actually who is Ashish Mishra, who we are talking about here, and what has been this entire issue. So Ashish Mishra is the son of Ajay Mishra Tini, who is the Minister of State for Home Affairs. He had allegedly driven an SUV and moved down 4 farmers and 1 journalist. But has the law been equal in this regard? We have to see that. So the Uttar Pradesh police treated him with kid gloves, that is basically with a lot of privileges, and brought him into the investigation as a witness and not as an accused, which is definitely very surprising. So he was arrested only after the apex court had made scathing observations. So the arrest that should have been made at a very natal stage, at a very starting of the stage here, but that arrest was never made unless the Supreme Court gave such orders in this direction. So it was also noted that the High Court had made tearing hurry to grant bail to the accused. So while this is common when influential people are brought forward, it is high time that the Supreme Court steps in and collates materials regarding the pending bail applications in the courts. And that is why it is necessary that every court, specifically here this article talks about that the Supreme Court really needs to take the entire matter into its own reign and needs to make sure that such kind of biases do not prevail, at least in the judicial system of the country. So the Supreme Court has sent the matter back to the High Court, urging the court to look into it again. However, it did not make any mention of the same judge not being able to hear it again, which probably should have been done so that it would have been made sure that this case moves only forward, only further, and no other kind of biases might prevail. So it is hoped that the Chief Justice of Allahabad High Court shall step up in this regard. Now, it is also disconcerting to see that the accused, Ashish Mishra, with powerful links and the backing of a state machinery, be given a week's berth to appear and surrender. Now, it is high time that people be made to feel safe when the state machineries are trampling their fundamental rights with unabashed impunity. Now, of course, the people, the farmers who have been killed, their Article 21, that is fundamental right to life, has been abridged. And even if at all this is happening, or this kind of biases, these kind of biases occur in the judicial system, so even our constitutional right to constitutional remedies under Article 32 is being abridged. Now let's see that what is the next article, which talks about the PIL against the lifetime cabinet minister, which is basically about a PIL, that is a public interest litigation, that has been filed against the lifetime cabinet minister status for someone. Now, what is the matter? Let's see. So the Bombay High Court at Goa held that arguable contentions had been raised about the conferring of lifetime cabinet minister status to Pratap Singh Rane for being a chief minister, speaker, or for having an illustrious career for 50 years in politics. So basically, some people do not really agree to this idea of giving the lifetime cabinet minister status to Pratap Singh Rane. So the PIL has challenged that the constitution allows Goa to have 12 members cabinet. Now, in this situation, if at all, the lifetime cabinet minister status is given to Pratap Singh Rane, so this will actually cross the number of 12-member cabinet. That is actually the limit that has been set up by the constitution that is allowed as the maximum number of cabinet members for Goa. Let's see now that what all constitutional contentions or what all provisions have been inflicted in this BIL. So Article 164(1)(a) mandates that the Goa legislature be confined to 12 ministers. Allowing Rane a lifetime position violates the purpose of 91st Amendment Act. Now, allowing him to retain a cabinet minister will cost the state round rupees 90 lakhs a year, given the facilities that he would be entitled to. And that's actually very huge. So, further, before granting such a status, the Government of India had not obtained a financial sanction from the Finance Ministry as which is required. So the Rani's family is the most influential family in Goa politically. It is being alleged that the permanent candidature as cabinet minister is a ploy between the family and the opposition party to secure political majority in the constituency of Goa. Further, Rane stepped back from candidature after the honor had been conferred to him, allowing BJP to swoop in and claim the seat of Porium. So this has been challenged in the court as malified strategy on his behalf. Let's see whatever will be the real verdict that would come out of this. Now, here, a very important announcement that we needed to make was regarding a correction or a corrigendum from yesterday's newspaper analysis, wherein we talked about the new vice chairperson of NITI Aayog. So the correction here is that Suman Berry has been now appointed as the new vice chairperson of NITI Aayog, and Rajiv Kumar has recently stepped down through his resignation on April 22nd. So please keep that in mind that Suman Berry is now the actual current holding vice chairperson of NITI Aayog. And please remember that the Prime Minister of India is the ex officio chairperson of the NITI Aayog. That is, at current moment, Narendra Modi, by virtue of his post as being the Prime Minister, is the chairperson of NITI Aayog. Now let's move further with the news updates that we have. So firstly, we have that Natarajan Lake of Tamil Nadu to be the 17th bird sanctuary of Tamil Nadu. So the Tamil Nadu government will notify that the Nanjarayan Lake Anupriya, there will be a correction over here. Okay, so I'm reading it once again. I'll tell you some part has to be removed. Okay. With this, let's start with the news updates for the day. Firstly, Natarajan Lake to be Tamil Nadu's 17th bird sanctuary. So, Tamil Nadu government will notify that Natarajan Lake in Tirupur as the 17th bird sanctuary in the state, Minister for Forest K. Ramachandran announced in the assembly on Monday. Second, India is third highest military spender. So India's military spending in 2021 is the third highest in the world at rupees 5.87 lakh crores, or which is about $76.6 billion. And we're only behind United States and China, but ahead of the United Kingdom and Russia as well. So the data has been released on Monday by the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute has shown so. Thirdly, the first edition of Naval Commanders Conference has been held. So the first edition for the Naval's Commander Conference of 2022 is underway in New Delhi. The conference serves as a platform for naval commanders to discuss important maritime matters in the military strategic level, as well as interact with senior government functionaries through an institutionalized forum. Fourthly, 24th Summer Deaflympics. So, the Deaflympics is an international multi-sport event organized by the International Committee of Sports for the Deaf, that is by the International Committee of Sports for the Deaf. The first edition was held in Paris in 1924, was also the first sporting event for people with special needs. So, the Summer Deaflympics takes place every 4 years and is the oldest multi-sport event after the Olympics. Now, for the 24th summer edition, it is expected to receive 4,500 deaf athletes and teams from over 100 countries. As a historical landmark, Brazil will be the first country in Latin America to host the Summer Deaflympic Games. So, India sent her largest ever contingent of 65 athletes across 11 sports for the 24th Summer Deaflympics 2021. Fifth, AAHAR 2022. So, AAHAR, the International Food and Hospitality Fair, is a major event organized by India Trade Promotion Organization, the foremost trade promotion body of India. So the 36th edition will take place at Pragati Maidan, New Delhi. It is the most well-known brand in food and hospitality, and this show is now a well-known destination for global vendors as well as sourcing professionals. Sixth, Himachal to become the first smoke-free state in India. Ujjwala and Himachal Grihini Suvidha scheme of centre and state government prove boon for the people of the state and making Himachal Pradesh the first state in the country to become a smoke-free state. Ujjwala Yojana was started by the centre government with a view to free the women of the country from indoor pollution. Along with this, the Himachal government also started the Grihini Suvidha Yojana to benefit as many women as possible under the scheme. And lastly, Unnat Bharat Abhiyan 2.0. The vision of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan is to enable higher educational institutions to work with the rural people and identify the challenges they face and come up with solutions for their sustainable development. So for the legal news we have here, the judgment on admission can be passed if defense set up by part is so weak that it is impossible to succeed, says Delhi High Court in the case of Shri Dinesh Sharma versus Mrs. Krishna Kant. So the Delhi High Court recently affirmed a judgment on admission passed by the lower court in exercise of its discretionary powers under Order 12, Rule 6 of the Civil Procedure Code. The ground for such action was held that the defense of the party was impossible to succeed. Secondly, deal with them humanly, you can't simply throw them away, says the Supreme Court, and asked the centre to stop eviction of Sarojini Nagar Jhuggi Dwellers in the case of Vaishali and others versus Union of India and others. So the Supreme Court on Monday awarded interim relief to the Jhuggi dwellers of Sarojini Nagar and stated that the government should deal with them humanly instead of taking coercive actions against them. The government should not claim that they had no rehabilitation program for the displaced, and the Supreme Court reminded the government that they were dealing with families and such actions would be unbecoming of a model government. So let's see what Delhi government is about to do with this. And thirdly, Anaganwadi workers to be entitled to gratuity. So Anaganwadi workers and helpers are entitled to payment of gratuity as Anaganwadi centers are establishments under our 1972 Act. So the Supreme Court has said in the case of Maniben Maganbhai Bharia versus District Development Officer Dahod and others. So this was all for the day. We hope it was a good and informative session for you all. Thank you so much for staying tuned with LawSikho. If you liked the session, please give it a thumbs up. You can download the PDF of today's slides from our Telegram channel. The link is there in the description box below, or you can simply scan this QR code that you can see on the screens right now. Thank you so much.